Hello, hello. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jay Randall, and on this channel we discuss wisdom for the modern man. Today, guys, I have an interesting video to react to. I'm reacting to the Whatever podcast. Hold up. Apologize for that. So it's a clip that I came across. I'm sure you guys seen the title already. Very interesting, right? It's something I've noticed in the dating scene, and I'm sure you guys have noticed as well, where it's this interesting thing where women will want to do away with almost everything that a traditional woman would have to do, whether it be in relationships or in society. They want to basically deconstruct the idea that a woman should have to adhere to anything traditional whatsoever, whether it be being submissive, whether it be taking care of the family, whether it be prioritizing the family over a career. Whatever it may be, they want to do away with it. Women should be modest. Women should be virgins. All of that is old-fashioned and outdated. However, these same women who want to do away with everything that is traditional on their end, they want to hold men to the same traditional standards that they had 100 years ago. And one of those standards that they want to hold men to is the idea that a man should sacrifice his life on behalf of the woman. Now, I always found that just very strange, very strange. And we're going to get into that. I don't want to give my opinion too much just yet, but I want to say thanks you guys for joining the stream. If you're so we already have a comment. Appreciate you, Bravo, for joining the stream. Actually, no, that's not his name. It's Yuri. Thanks, Yuri, for joining the stream. And for anybody else joining the stream, I appreciate you. If you liked the video, leave a comment. We're going to have an interesting discussion today. Like the video, guys. I'm trying to get the channel to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month so I can push this out to more people, support in making that happen. We're going to get into the debate today of, are men expendable? This idea that a man's life is somehow, in some way, less valuable than a woman's. It's very interesting to me. I've never felt this way, by the way. I reject that wholeheartedly. But we're going to get into the debate. As it goes on, I'll give my opinion.
It's not just what you do, but how you do it in a way that's more profound than we can even articulate and understand.
Let me ask you a follow-up question, Warren. How do you categorize yourself politically? Are you conservative, moderate, liberal?
I don't know. I'll pull a Peterson on that. So on some things, I'm probably more conservative.
Okay. So let's say your Titanic situation. You could choose, like, person A, you can opt to take person A's seat, only that person's seat on the life preserver. You know person A's seat. This person is completely ideologically opposed to you, and you know they're a bad person, and they're also a child abuser. Under that circumstance, do you take their seat?
It's not about that.
By the way, that was a ridiculous.
I think your point, though.
Yeah, but would you do it in that circumstance?
Person, it's, as someone mentioned, the legacy how your grandchildren view you, how history views you, about the person whose seat you're taking so that they can die because they're a child abuser. It's about something much deeper than that.
It's so that your relatives...
The guys who stormed Normandy, it wasn't about an individual, it's about something much larger that I think is deeply ingrained within them that caused them to be willing to do that, and we can't grapple with that today in the same way because we've kind of lost that. That was.
So this is where I struggle with the Normandy example, though, is that certainly there were many, many veterans in World War II who were exceptionally brave and noble. But I do wonder that there are probably also, I wonder if there's some degree of, the words evading me, of storytelling that goes on when it comes to the sacrifices of young men related to like the Normandy landing or like other military conflicts. You know, if like during the, like say somebody was shot during the Normandy landing and then they like live for another like 30 minutes and they're bleeding out and they're dying. I'm not sure if like what's going through their head in that moment is like, I'm doing this for my country. Like I have this sense of pride, like glory. Like I don't think in that moment they're like glory. No. I think they're like calling out for their mothers and they're like, oh my God, I'm coming from fucking Nebraska and I had like Betty Sue.
I don't disagree with you.
And now I'm in fucking.
What's your point though?
My point is that.
The point is that, bro, like these men weren't, I'm sure many of them were very, patriotic and had a very, strong conviction in, sacrificing for their country. But I don't think all of them, like, I would venture to say that most of them absolutely did not want to be there at all whatsoever. The idea of dying did not bring them this sense of pride and duty or feeling as though deaths, pointless deaths. It was the military that made these deaths seem more noble than they were. And they were noble. They died for a good cause. But of course, the military is going to make it seem like this is a great, noble thing to do because they need more soldiers. And part of what they basically tried to do was, ignite the man's sense of duty by making the fact that they are probably going to die seem more noble than it actually is. But this idea that the man himself on the storming the beaches were thinking about country. No, they're probably thinking about their parents, their mom, their wife, their kids. Not country. Not, oh my God, most of them, maybe if they didn't even have family, a lot of them, they just wanted to live. Like, there's honor in it, but I think it's been blown way out of proportion.
We perhaps romanticize the glory of war. And I do think there's plenty of men who are brave and they go out fucking guns blazing, and that's badass. But I think like probably the majority of men who die in war, it's like cold and alone in some trench in a foreign territory or whatever it is.
I agree.
And it's not glamorous and there's no glory. Or they're not even, they're literally just, they're fucking smoking a cigarette, they're eating their ration, and like fucking a shell just implodes their face and they're dead instantly, and there's not even a thought process of like glory or anything. Like their sacrifice to the country, that should be respected. But in that moment, on the individual level, I don't know. I don't see it.
I think you're right.
Neither do I.
If a bomb lands on your head, you're not going to think about much in that moment. Brigadier Nicholson, for example, at Dunkirk, they said draw the fire, knowing they gave that command, knowing 13,000 men were committing suicide. Mm-hmm. Had they not done that, they would not have been able to save 300,000. They have lost almost their entire army. Mm. Was that the right call?
Was it? You said World War?
This is World War II. Dunkirk.
World War II.
Churchill made the order to Brigadier.
Okay. Yeah. So wait, what's the question?
Basically, you sacrifice the few to save the many, is what he's asking. Would you do that?
13,000 men to draw the German fire away so that they could pull 300,000 men off
okay.
the beach and save their entire army.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's a component of masculinity where it's saying, well, she was making the point
necessary. There's one right move on the chessboard.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. And yes, you can say that was the right move, but you're using masculinity like a tool. That's the thing. Masculinity, because men have a strong sense of duty, you can utilize men in a way that you can't really utilize women, because women more think about the device themselves for the majority. So oftentimes, for better or for worse, that nature in a man is used as a tool to, for things that might not even be in his best interest. It might not be in his best interest. So I do agree that there is a sense of pride and duty in country, right? Like, I'm not even making that argument that a man sacrificing his life for his country is not something worthy of doing. Do I think he's expendable? No, but I think if he decides to make that call, then that's a noble one. I'm more interested in the female argument because country, that is men, women, children, that's everybody. But there's a separate argument, right? If you're sacrificing for both men, women, and children, a collective, that makes sense. But then there's this very specific idea that a man needs to sacrifice for a woman. The man doesn't need to sacrifice for another man, but he definitely needs to sacrifice for the woman. And that's the argument I'm waiting to get to.
I'll make this move. You lose your army.
Oh, you lose your entire army.
Their minds when the bomb.
Sure. Okay. Well, now we're getting away from the Titanic example, though.
Well, what leads men to be willing to take part in such an endeavor?
What leads them? You tell me.
I mean, this is a more philosophical question. That's why that goes back to the Titanic example.
Sure.
The same thing that would motivate you to not do what you're proposing.
But like the men who died on the Titanic,
why do you think they
are
did
they
that?
like? But
why do you think they didn't
but
get on
are-
the lifeboats and they just stood
there's
there?
not like a Titanic men's remembrance. Maybe there is. I don't
Exactly,
fucking know.
there's not.
There's not. Their sacrifice. Whereas we have like Memorial Day, we have veterans. Soldiers tend to be, have holidays dedicated to them. But like just a dude on the Titanic, it's like,
So you only do it if there's like.
here, make a compelling argument for why I should not.
They're honored
Go on
within
the
their
li-
family. Within their family, like
How?
this
No,
is my
they're not.
grandfather who died on the Titanic for my grandma. Like that's what matters
Honor?
to them.
Yeah, but like
Their children.
At what point does
See, but she made a key distinction there. Died on the Titanic for my grandma. Like, that's someone he cared about. That's someone he loved. That's his wife. Of course men would do that. I remember in the movie, husbands, like, they jumped on top of their wives and girlfriends to shield them. That's different when it's somebody you love, right? Very different argument. But men are expected to still do that same thing for women who they have no connection to. Their lives, by a lot of women, are seen as, a man's life is seen as less valuable than a random woman's. Forget about the value of the woman, what background she has, her sense of morality, if she's a good person or not. By default, the man should be sacrificed on behalf of the woman. I don't believe that.
Okay, let's say you're the main provider for your family and you're on the Titanic, and I know if I die on the Titanic, just by virtue of my death, that's going to be extremely alarming to my wife. Let's say I have kids, I have parents, I have siblings. That's going to be really hurtful to them. And then let's say I'm the main my wife is going to grow up struggling. So I don't know if the trade-off of, wow, my family is going to be like, wow, he was so honorable. Like, I'm looking at it from, I don't know if it's more of a utilitarian perspective. Me remaining alive is going to serve a greater purpose to my family. It's going to avoid
I get your point.
it's going to avoid the pain and suffering that they deal with as it relates to just my death. And then, like, I'm going to be gone, can't provide for my kids and family. The exchange would be, but if I do die and all those bad things also happen, they will feel a sense of like, wow, my father died with honor. Fuck honor. I'm going to survive. I'm going to do what it takes to survive for my family.
But that's why
Facts.
they're not checking, okay, how indispensable are you to your family before we let you on this boat? It doesn't matter if you're upper class, middle class, poor. All the men do the same thing.
Right.
Because that's what we do.
What we do.
That's
Well, I
what
would
we
just
do.
reject that.
We have to.
We have to.
That's what we do. We just sacrifice for random chicks. Sacrificing for your family, for your daughter, for your sister, for your mom, that's different. There's a connection there. There's value there. There's love there. Right? That makes sense. No one has to, like, convince a man to jump in front of his mom or his girlfriend if to protect her in a dangerous situation. Like, he's just gonna naturally do it. No one has to give him a philosophical reason as to why he should do that. But you're gonna have to explain to me why you expect me to give this random chick my seat and I should die, especially in 2025. Maybe back in the day, this was something that, made sense because there was a level of respect given to men and a level of authority. And with authority becomes responsibility. But men have been stripped of respect, stripped of authority. In fact, we demonize men who have authority. They're by default seen as abusive or toxic or misogynistic. A man in power is just a threat. We don't want him to be powerful. We don't want to give him the power, but we still want to give him the responsibility, especially if it comes to sacrificing on behalf of a woman. That's still his duty. Do away with all manner of feminine standards. We need to liberate them from any and everything. They can pick and choose whatever they want to adhere to, and if they want to adhere to traditional values, that's fine. If they want to be the most liberal blue-haired feminist, that's also fine. They shouldn't be judged. They're still just as valuable as a woman. But if a man doesn't die on behalf of that woman, then he's not a real man. It's insane.
Why do we have to?
Going back to Brigadier Nicholson, what's the right move?
But I think it's unfair to say, like, okay.
They had to.
But let me ask you, Warren. Let's say you were.
I wouldn't want to. I get your point.
No, you wouldn't want to, but you would do it regardless, right?
I wouldn't. I would not. Yeah, I would not want to throw. I would not want to throw away. I don't. What's the point? It's a deeper. It
Of
sounds
life.
crazy. No, it's just I wouldn't.
To survive, it's a biological imperative.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be able to live with myself.
If you let your girl
would
die,
just
then
sit-
who
wait,
are you
wait,
gonna
when you say
provide
you-
for?
I
Wait.
would probably.
Myself, someone else. Not that I'm saying that you should let your girl die, but it's like have no purpose on this earth if we're not protecting and providing for them. It's like they're blown away at the idea that we can value ourselves or something else above them. Who are you gonna provide for? I'm still alive. I could provide for myself. I can get another girl, and I'm not coming from that selfish mindset like you shouldn't care about your girl, protecting her. Far from it. But it's just weird. It's just weird the way they see men and the way they see what our purpose in the world. It's like we're literally just a tool to be used for their benefit. And if we step outside of that purpose, then somehow we're just useless. Like we our lives are not our own. Our lives are theirs to be to use to like extract value from. It's like, no.
Commit suicide
No,
like the guy at the end of the movie.
Warren, you wouldn't. Wait. Think I'm a pussy because I survived? Fuck them.
I think it's deeper than that. I don't think we can really understand the human soul in this way, really. It eats away at us. And maybe it's because I believe in a higher power. I think that evil is not a social construct. It exists, and it can creep in.
Wait, you think it would
good
be
intentions, and often we can logic our way into bad decisions. Because
Sorry, go ahead.
it's when illogical behavior saves you, is what is intriguing. And that's where spirituality, for me, lies.
Illogical behavior is wanting to survive. That's like the most logical behavior. That's like literally ingrained in every like human, not even human, just every species. It's the imperative of survival. We've all developed, like animals on this planet have developed extreme ways and mechanisms to ward off threats, to survive extreme terrain, to survive droughts, lack of food, lack of water. To survive, for the sole purpose of survival. And if this conversation was being put on the woman, you need to survive. But as the man even thinking about that, and it's weird coming from him. And I don't think he's coming from like a weak, like, kind of feminist guy mindset. I just think he's coming from a traditional mindset that no longer serves men of this era. That mindset might have served men of a different time period because times are different. Life was different. Women were different. Society's norms and expectations were different. And a man, I believe, could rationalize a sacrifice of that magnitude. I don't know how a man in 2025 could rationalize sacrificing his life for the average woman. Like, I'm dying for what? Like, you're going to have to answer that question for me. Like, for what?
Only explanations. We were talking about with Brigadier Nicholson, but Churchill saying, no, we're going to fight to the last man, only when the last one's choking their own blood, which is not logical. Everyone around them is saying, do the logical move. They're making your argument. What's the point of going down fighting when we can appease with Hitler, surrender, and live?
They wouldn't live. They'd get
And they said,
executed.
it's better to die, defending the temples of your forebears to rise again one day.
But I think the calculus here is a little bit different, because if we're looking, if I take somebody else's seat in the life preserver on the Titanic, only one other, like it's one life to one life. Whereas like I don't know if it's a totally fair comparison or equivocal to say, okay, well, if we sacrifice 10,000 soldiers to save hundreds of thousands of soldiers, that's something commonly done in warfare where it's like, well, okay.
It wouldn't be one life though, because it's all the men don't do it unless you're the only one. And that's what makes you lose your legacy.
Wait, all the men?
The men voluntarily stay back, except the one who doesn't. And that's why all the women sit there and stare at him. And
Well,
it destroys.
I mean, I'm very
soul.
much okay.
Bro, he must care too much about what women think, bro. Their arms and looking at me is going to make me feel any less like valid in my decision. Like, bro, like what makes them have the right to think that their life is more valuable than mine? Like the audacity of them to but it's just crazy that he has that viewpoint, that he's that like afraid of female judgment or criticism that he will let that like literally guide him to his death out of fear of female criticism. Bro, women make the most irrational, foolish decisions in life, and you're gonna let them like shame you to the point where you feel as though if I don't go die, I would rather die than have a bunch of women making pouty faces and crossing their arms and saying, "You're not a real man." I don't know, man. That's weak to me.
With women disagree, like giving me oh my God, I'm okay. Like I'm not, but I would not. Social pressure or disapproval, like women's disapproval, is not going to be sufficient enough for me to be willing to die because of women's disapproval.
Exactly.
That as
I know.
an example of it's much deeper
Sure.
than just the women on the lifeboat
But
looking at you.
you mentioned the word evil, though. Do you think it's evil instead of a woman?
In that case, I mean,
into the mic, if you
to
can.
be logically consistent, I mean, I was trying to make the point of it's easy to logic your way into evil. I'm not sure. I mean, it is self-preservation, and it's unfair, but it's. So I'm not sure if evil would be the right word for it, but I think it goes against something deeper. I bring in the idea of the kids. What if your kids were on shore, and they would know? That would be enough for me. And if that would be enough for you, then it shows you the magnitude of that decision.
Doing children, people who are related to you, people you actually care about. We're talking about like strangers. The Titanic, those were strangers. Majority of the people that the men were sacrificing their lives for were absolute strangers. Not people they loved, not people they cared about, not people that offered value to them. Absolute strangers. All right? Not loved ones.
This is something deeper. Even if you don't have kids.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would be prepared though to say, and if my position isn't clear, even if I had nobody in my life, I would still take that option.
You'd be more likely if you had no one in your life. That's my point.
To what?
If you did have kids, and
Yeah.
they were and you would come home to them, and they
Yeah.
would know, and that would be your legacy. As will go down, let's just metaphorically, let's just for the thought experiment,
Sure.
it would go down into history, and then you'd be in this movie in 2012 or whatever, and they're depicting you on screen, and that's how you're going to be remembered. You're saying it doesn't matter to you, and I can understand that.
So you're saying that your kids would prefer that their dad die as opposed to seeing a depiction of their dad surviving on a movie? Dad, you should have died. Watch this one movie and they showed a guy that was based off you trying to live. I mean, you survived and you were able to provide for us and take care of us and love us, but boat somewhere. Right. This is the most stupidest argument. Those kids are going to be absolutely happy, ecstatic, overjoyed, tears running from their eyes at the idea that their dad survived. Bro, screw a movie. These homie is putting way too much stock, way too much care on the world. The world doesn't give a damn about you, especially nowadays. Maybe back then, because there was more sense of community. People were more, together. There was community. There was family. There was unity in the society and the culture. So people were more connected. People knew each other. That makes a little bit more sense in the time period. In this time period, bro, no one knows each other. And despite the fact that we all have thousands of and hundreds of thousands of subscribers and friends on Facebook and ads on Instagram, all that stuff, we still don't know each other. Nobody cares about each other. We're the most individualistic society. Everybody just cares about themselves. And then you might end up on the news for like a 5-minute segment, if that, and then you'll be forgotten in like the next 10 minutes with all the other news just bombarding it. What honor, bro? Your life is valuable. Never let yourself be taken out over some idea of there's honorable things. I'm not saying there isn't, but this idea that another person's view of you should shame you into dying is insane.
It's a logical argument. Why would you're dead? Who cares?
Oh, okay. Wait, so you're saying but when I'm still
I
alive,
would care is what I'm saying. And in that moment, that would make me take a different course of action.
What? So just to be clear, when I say I don't, it could very well be the case, being labeled a coward, that would bring some degree of shame. It's not that I'm saying that there wouldn't potentially be desire to say I have a family, right? Mm-hmm. My desire to survive for the benefit of my family, and then also I'm not going to virtue signal the benefit of myself and self-preservation. I am willing, in terms of the calculus of the comparison of all factors, the totality of all the circumstances, survive but have shame. I would rather survive and have shame than die and go out doing the honorable thing, if that makes sense.
No, I get your position. We're kind of repeating it now.
Yeah. And even I would also frame it to my kids, there could be social pressure impacting my kids, whoa, your dad wasn't willing to die. I'd be you might think that, but also I'm still here now, and your guys' life would be way more fucked up if I still wasn't alive. So to me, it's to the benefit of the family, to the benefit of myself, and that supersedes the external social pressure, social shame, social guilt, and yeah. And I reject the disposability of males. So it's just, I think it's
same here, man.
A pretty coherent.
We're in the
worldview.
same boat.
I agree with you. Males should not be. Males should not be disposable.
But I mean, within your worldview, aren't they?
Or the Titanic, and saying if you were in this horrific situation, what is the least bad course of action?
To the mic if you can.
That doesn't mean I think
The
men
least
are disposable.
bad course of action.
I don't. Well, just to be clear, I don't think they're disposable, but I think society thinks men are disposable.
Oh, absolutely they do. Bro, the best course of action is me surviving. The best course of action is me and my loved one surviving. That's the woman surviving. What makes her life more valuable than mine? Why? Because she has a vagina? because she can give birth. She's not going to be giving birth to my kid. So like, why does that matter to me? Like, bro, like, oh, it makes no sense.
Under both yeah.
Then we go back to the Russian example of like, okay, if we are invaded, what do we do? Like, because it's utility.
Well, so I want to explore that a little bit when it comes to duties. And there's actually a chat that came in that will probably prompt this. Let me pull up the chat though, one sec. It is Beaten Cheeks. What duties do women bring to society, or better yet, what do you bring to the table to get your so-called dominant man? Plenty of men in the USA. Women need to be feminist at start, not after knowing a man. So going around the table, starting with you, what duties do women bring to
It's a
society?
good question.
Good question. Like bring to
That's
society or
crazy.
bring into a relationship?
It's both.
Yeah. Okay.
So what duties do you bring? Like, do you have any duties to men? And then do you have any duties to society? And when I say men, like to your future husband or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to say society. I don't know, I guess for me, for my man, I guess my duty is to be loyal and supportive, emotionally there, a motherly figure. Am I going the wrong direction with this? I thought you shook your head. No?
Oh, well, when you say loyal, I suppose this would be like a equal duty.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So-
A
Yeah, I guess-
duty is like unique to you. The same way they put the duty of self-sacrifice uniquely on men, what is the duty that women uniquely have towards men? Men have the duty or responsibility, right, to pay for the first date, to protect women, to provide for women. That's their duty according to society and tradition. What is the woman's duty to society and to men specifically that is uniquely their duty to men? Women never have an answer to this.
A motherly figure, be supportive, be
Yeah, but that goes for both
like
parties.
emotionally there. I don't know, it's hard to say because I think a lot of things.
Being supportive is also something they expect from the man. It's not just uniquely, are you the only one who's supposed to be supportive? No, you still expect the man to be. You say, well, be a good mother. Okay, but you also want him to be a good father. So those are equal duty towards you, but you specifically as the woman have towards the man. They never can answer this. I've heard Andrew Wilson ask this like so many times. One of the most famous ones was when he asked it on what was it? I think it was Pierce Morgan. Yeah. Pierce Morgan Uncensored. And he asked the question, and she could not answer it. Well, she answered it. It was a terrible answer. Like, it was just absolutely terrible answer.
Go both ways, but
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
Kind of hard answer.
What
for
about
me.
you? Scoot into the table if you can.
So for society of relationships, both. I think for society, being teachers, being caretakers, that's an important role for women to take. And then
You're not talking about roles, we're talking about duties. It's a woman's duty to be a teacher? No, it's just a thing that they do because they gravitate towards people. It's not a duty. They're not like, this is your job to do, whether you like it or not. This is your job. That's not a duty, being a teacher. Men are teachers. I've had plenty of male college professors. It's not a duty. It's just something women like to do. They can choose not to do it, which inherently makes it not a duty.
relationship, I think like being a cheerleader and also being a
Cheerleader,
place
bro.
like a safe haven for a man. He can be out in the world being masculine and tough, but he can be vulnerable with me.
Oh, so guys, her duty is to be a cheerleader. Just give her some pom-poms. She'll shake it for you. That's her duty. Like, if she's not at home, if she's not at the door when you get home shaking pom-poms being your cheerleader, every decision you make, she's just rooting you on, like just, gassing you up, then I guess she's not adhering to her duty. And they always say this, like, oh, a place where he can be vulnerable and emotional. Bruh. Vulnerable and I'm not even going to get into that argument, but none of these things that she listed are actually duties at all. They're just things women like to do, but they don't have to do. And if they don't do it, there's no consequence, and there's no societal shame. So there's not duties at all.
And yeah, be a place of trust.
Can't trust, bruv. Trust.
Yeah, I was going to say probably the nurturing side to both society and to your relationship, because it's more family members and your or your partner. You're gonna.
So are men not expected to nurture their relationships? Like, he needs to like ask them questions, like to get them to actually understand what he means by when they say duties. Because men are expected to do the same thing: nurture the relationship, nurture friendships. What kind of duty is that? These are all like optional things that they're not held to by any standard.
I want to be there for them, to like kind of care for them and be in that femininity side. And then, yeah, like as you said, supporting as well. So.
Okay.
I agree. I think a female's position should be a caretaker in society and in the family. I mean,
Sure.
most women are teachers because that's their caretakers.
That's
what
not
our
a
role in society
duty.
should be.
Okay. What about you?
I think the role is to be a mother and to raise children to be valuable members of society, and to also take care of your community. Like, of course, there are women who can't be mothers just because of like health issues and stuff like that. You can still take care of your community and serve your husband by anticipating what his needs are and what his wants are, so that he doesn't even have to tell you what he needs. You already know it.
That was the best answer. Here's the thing, though. Women are held to none of that. Nurturing. It's assumed, default, that women are nurturing. It's just assumed that if she's in a relationship, that she's being nurturing. This is so wrong. This is so wrong. There's a lot of cases where the man is far more nurturing than the woman. But there's just certain traits that we just by default attach to women. By virtue of them being the ones who have kids and take care of the kids, we just assume more nurturing. Just attach that title. We don't investigate. We don't ever take a deeper look at whether or not it's actually true. We just, well, they have kids, so nurturing, therefore. No, I argue it as well. I've heard Myron make this argument, but it's something I've thought about personally, just by seeing relationships, observing relationships, being in relationships personally. This idea that women are more nurturing, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But she gave the best answer. I mean, women aren't held to any of those standards. If she wants to be a mother, she doesn't have to be a mother. If it was a duty for women to be mothers, the birth rate would not be in, the negatives. We would not be below replacement rate if it was a duty for women to be mothers. It's not. It's not a duty for women to be nurturing. Many of them are just toxic, masculine, don't give a two craps about their husband. So that's not a duty. They're held to nothing of that in that standard. Like, there's nothing women are held to. They're not shamed for anything. In fact, attempting to hold a woman to a standard is viewed as misogynistic. If you attempt to hold a woman to a standard of purity, you're misogynistic. You're trying to hold women back, trying to use things of the past to label women and shame women. If you try to hold them to being a mother and having kids, you think women's only job is to pump out babies. You can literally hold women to no standard. But men, oh my gosh, bro. We refuse to let men evolve. We refuse to let men evolve. No matter what era we're in, a man must embody certain characteristics, and we refuse to unattach these traits from masculinity, because we can't get those same traits from women, or women aren't willing to pick up the slack. If men stop being protectors, or if men stop being providers, or women aren't willing to take on the dynamic of paying for first dates, they're completely unwilling to attach that to femininity. What if men started just, this whole movement of paying for first dates is feminine? You think women would jump on the bandwagon? No. But we'll say not paying for first dates isn't masculine. We can't detach ourselves from these old-fashioned traditional ideas. But women can. They've already have. They've done away with all of that. And I'm supposed to die for a chick like that? Bro, it's crazy.
Yeah, I agree with all of these ladies over here on the panel. I will add one thing. I think it's also a duty of women to not sell themselves short or give too much of themselves to just anyone. And I mean that, in terms of like the world of like prostitution or OnlyFans or anything like that. I think that's very important. We owe that to society to set a better example to be more respected, to not only men but to other women and also children as well. I think that's very important to uphold those kinds of qualities in order to exude the more feminine qualities of being a wife and being loyal and being, just not being promiscuous. I think that's important.
Felicity?
Be a good partner, be a good person, have children.
So do women, women have a duty to have children?
See?
I think we're all here to reproduce.
Okay.
But that's not the question. That's not he let her slide with the, guys, you got to pay attention to women's answers because they'll say something and it seems like they gave you an answer, but that's not what he asked. Yes, we're all here to reproduce, but is it a woman's duty to do it? Is what he asked. She sidestepped the answer and gave an answer that seemed like it was an acceptable one. But that's not a yes. That's an answer to an entirely different question. You got to really pay attention to what women respond to. And Andrew Wilson is really good at this. Like, he really listens. He's one of the best debaters that I've seen who just listens. No one can ever accuse Andrew of like not listening because he will listen to the response you gave. Like, that's not what I asked you though. And he'll break it down exactly what he's asking you until he gets a specific answer to that question. And I think Brian, he does a good job. He's definitely improved. I've watched him improve greatly, especially with him, hearing Andrew debate and debating alongside him. He's definitely improved, but he should definitely, make sure that he's getting the answer to the actual question that he asked.
Just really quick, I guess bringing it back to like duties. So what's interesting to me though, when it comes to war, and we were talking about this when it came to the draft, right? Like Russia invades. So for the panelists here, do you think if a country were to invade us, do you think that the men have a duty to like try to fight the enemy? Join the military, become a soldier?
Anyone who's physically capable, mostly men. I personally would not do very well in
Oh.
I'm going to back out of that.
I don't think women should be involved in combat. I think it's the woman's duty, actually, to take on the caretaker role for the men in war, for the soldiers in war, nurture them, nurse them back to health, whatever it is. I think women also have a role. Granted, it's not as severe as the men have, being faced with imminent death every day, but I think women also take on that role, and I think it is the man's responsibility. I don't think women, because women are biologically less capable than men, I just think women should stay out of it, should stay out of combat.
I think a more important question is to ask if the men are capable of being protectors nowadays, especially in the USA. I think with their diet and lifestyle and yeah.
I mean,
Men are still just as capable of being protectors. It's just, do they want to? That's the question. Do men want to be protectors? Ask yourself, do you want to be? Like, and I'm not talking about for your family, because that's not the argument. No man has to be prompted or convinced to protect his loved ones. We're talking about strangers here. Strangers.
Has to do it, and I don't think the women are going to be in general more capable, so I think the men do have a duty.
They do. I agree completely with you. But are they capable of being the strong men that we need for them to protect us?
They should be, but a lot of them aren't, as like how progressive things have become. I feel like, and especially
they're
like you
gonna
said
be
with the
the first
discipline.
ones killed at the war.
But why the U.S.? Why did you say the U.S.?
Because what I've learned health-wise, it's not like the best place to be, I think. Affects the men, especially here. Like when you need to get into in the military, you have probably a set of tests you need to do. And I'm sure most of the men nowadays are not capable to pass these tests.
Spent 10 days in Amsterdam. Those guys are huge. Like 6 foot over. Yeah.
Well, how about this though? Because we were talking about like if Russia invades, let's say you guys knew that Russia was invading, and if we didn't draft men. So what I mean by that is by drafting men, you're forcing them. The state, the government, forces them to fight. Like let's say as a guy, you're like, I don't want to fight. The government's like, nope. Send you off to training. They will physically force you. They'll like you try to not go. The military police will come to your. You got to put it center if you're stepping away. The military police will come to your house. They'll abduct you. We've seen this in Ukraine. They literally abduct men.
Does it make the
off the
difference
street
between being overrun or not, though? To introduce that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to is. If you force men against their will to go and fight, that is the determining factor in preventing, say, Russia from invading. And let's say this is like a really nasty version of Russia in some like alternate universe where they're going to kill all the men anyways, and then they're going to like take all the women as war brides and basically essay them. This is obviously something that has actually happened historically in various wars. So would you guys be advocates for forcing men under these circumstances to fight?
Someone has to do it. There's no, you have to choose. It's either going to
We now have established that men have a duty to do this, right? What duties can the state compel women to do?
to help in, there's other positions, right, in war.
You said you were actually, I think maybe you two were the only, I think you're the only one who answered this correctly. Women's duty is to have children. Are they though? No. But I think many of you would object. I'm not advocating for this, but play with me here with the example. Would you be okay with the following example? Russia's going to invade, but in 20 years. I don't know, we can see 20 years into the future. We don't have the requisite population level as it currently stands to combat Russia. But if we draft women into and they can select their partner, but the women are drafted to give birth.
Yes.
And that's the only way to prevent Russia. We know if the women each.
Bro, I'm not gonna hold you. Brian be coming up with like the most like wildest hypotheticals. Like I get where he's going, but man, his hypotheticals be killing me sometimes. Like, bro, I don't know, man.
Women has 2 children. If that's the only way, and if we don't, Russia's going to invade and kill all the men and like, do bad things to women. Would you be in favor of forcing women, taking away their free will, forcing them to have children?
Yes, I would agree with
What about you?
That's hard to say. I don't know. I do believe that women should have children. Do I believe all women should have children? Probably not. I think people who are capable mothers should be. Like, there's a lot of times where people have children and they are drug addicts living on the street, and now the child has to grow up in that environment. So your average woman who is financially responsible or whatever, it's like a caring mother. I think they should.
It's getting a little bit away from the question because, like, for example, with the other example I provided, it's possible that you're going to draft men who are like going to be incompetent soldiers when you draft them. So in this case, it's possible that you would end up drafting like incompetent mothers, I guess, but invariably we still need them to birth enough. Would you be in favor of forcing women to give birth to children?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yes.
I guess I have to.
You worded it that way.
When you word it like that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason I say this is, so we send men off to training when they get drafted, and let's say we go to war and they have to go to training. Well, obviously, let's say we have the bad mothers who can't take care of their children. Why would you not make sure that you have people, let's say people who can't even have kids, why would you not have them go ahead and take care of those children and make them into productive members of society to be able to fight?
There's like courses that are taught, and the women are prepared to like raise the most fucking badass soldiers, warrior children, and guidelines on like nutrition and getting them. We'd be able to draft women to.
I mean, you said it's the only thing stopping the invasion.
Yeah.
So yes, most of those women are going to want to have children anyway. So it's like if the men's free will is being taken away in the way that they have to get drafted to combat, then the women's corresponding way, and they get to choose their partners too. So it's like most of them are going to do that anyway.
This is a far more like fair panel than I expected. Most panels would not make this argument. They would say no, a woman shouldn't be forced. But this panel seems a lot more level-headed than the usual, which is it's good. It's impressive. It's good to see that there's at least some somewhat level-headed women out there.
They're going to choose their partner and they're going to have children with that man. So I think it's fine.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, I think especially with the choice of partner, I think that's I think it's okay. I mean, especially since the men can't choose, who's going to take them off the, unalive them. So
sure. All right. Did you have something on this, Warren, or?
No, it was interesting because when you inquired in order for victory or survival, more importantly, what often happens, and I think the first way it was framed, this is how I usually hear this thought experiment framed, is just, okay, well, if men are going to be required to fight, should women be required to reproduce? Because reproducing is equally important, but when you make it a victory condition, that's when you suddenly saw people change their minds.
Right.
They were more on the fence. Because then it's logically, normally I would say you want the minimum number of negatives. It's survival in that scenario. All we need is this negative requiring negative that has no correlation to survival. But when you make it conditional now, it's...
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. We're going to do some more chats. We have Davon Jackson. I generally disagree with Brian on this, but it is a raw deal for a man to sacrifice his life to save a woman who will remarry and take some other dude's name anyway. The guilt argument doesn't work. Davon Jackson. Yeah, it's a raw deal. I don't know. She's going to be back on Tinder in like fucking 3 weeks, man. I'm dead. She's on Tinder at the funeral. Shit.
Didn't you say you would show up with a new woman to the funeral?
Oh, I was being facetious, but
I don't know.
when I said, if she sacrifices her life for mine, I was saying I'm back on Tinder. I don't use dating apps, but as a joke. Okay, we have D's Nates. Is it a woman's duty to provide her husband sex even if they're arguing? If no, I work a 9-to-5 job to support her with my body. So when we are arguing, can I stop supporting her financially?
The fuck?
what?
That's an interesting
That
one.
made
D's
perfect
Nates.
sense. Like, what are they talking about? Why are they laughing?
That's an interesting. Anybody gonna bite on that or?
Consensual, sure.
Yeah.
I think it's
kind of
toxic.
weird.
Yeah, I feel like that's bordering on the toxicity and consent, like the line of it being consensual.
Yeah.
I think it's
Bruh. Yeah, I'm gonna let them finish, bro, but this topic here.
toxic to stop doing something that you've been doing consistently just because you're arguing. Like if you're arguing, you should figure it out, not say, I'm going to stop doing this for you that I've been doing all this time.
Yeah, but I think he's asking if he's still entitled to having sex with her.
If they're arguing?
Entitled? I don't think anyone's entitled to anything.
I wonder if, but like, should there be a scenario where, like what if the I don't know where I'm going with this. Like, you would all agree though that if a woman stopped having sex with her husband, like that totally is green light for him to end the relationship.
I think so.
Like
Well,
if
how long
she's
are we
just
talking for? Because if it's like you guys are in an argument, eventually you're going to work through that argument. But if it's like an infinite thing and she's just cutting it off completely, well then yeah, I don't think that's fair.
Assuming there's like no reason, like
This could apply on both ends. Like maybe the guy's sick or she's sick and neither person wants to have sex. I think that's totally fine. And I think either partner should respect the other partner in that situation. But it's like, I don't think it would be a surprise, like if a wife stopped having sex with her husband, that he would either divorce her or it could just like introduce, I mean, he should probably dump her, but it would just introduce infidelity. He might just start cheating on her. Like, would you blame somebody if you're...
You'd be surprised how many women, because, like, you guys, I don't know how many of you guys go down the rabbit hole of TikTok. I'm going to start making TikTok videos. I made, like, 2, but, I don't know, TikTok's kind of annoying to me. I mostly just use TikTok to get, like, clips for the channel. But if you've gone down the rabbit hole of on these, like, on the female perspective, when it comes to relationships and dating and marriage and sex and all that stuff, you go in the comment section on these videos and you will see just how many women are like adamant that they do not owe their husbands any sex at all. And he should just deal with it. He should just deal with it. And if I'm not happy, then too bad. He should have done XYZ or cared about how I felt if he wanted it so badly. It's frightening. And I think this is, I mean, there's plenty of reasons why men don't want to get married anymore. But women don't understand just how much men will go into the comment sections and just read. Like, we don't even text. We don't comment. We don't respond. We just observe the stance silently. The same way we reject them silently. If they're hoes, if they have a promiscuous past, if they don't meet the requirement, we don't tell them. We just silently reject them. We just silently observe the positions, and we see how many likes, we see how many comments, we see how many people are in agreement with this, how many hearts on the video. Like, oh, so this is how XYZ thousand amount of people. It's like, wow, okay, interesting. I'm not getting married because a lot of women want men to tie their sexuality to the relationship, but then you want to be, so here's the thing. You want the man to like exclusively only sleep with you. You sign up for that package. You say, listen, I want to be the sole person that you have sex with. I want that position. The man's like, okay, you can have that position. You then say, okay, now that I have that position, I'm cutting it off. I'm turning it off. You still can't go sleep with anybody else, but I have now eliminated sexuality from your life. Not my life. I mean, they are doing it for themselves as well, but they're also making that decision for you. And this is why you guys have to have conversations with your girls. Before you get married, before you like make her your girlfriend, you need to make it very clear to her that you're signing up to play this role in my life exclusively. Now, I'm signing up for monogamy, but I'm not signing up for celibacy. So if you decide that you are now turning it off, you've made that decision for you. You have not made that decision for me. I will never give a woman the power to make the unilateral decision that sex is no longer a part of my life. That's to do that. But they need to have this conversation with their wives. And if she is scared and runs off and doesn't want to date anymore or wants to end the relationship, good. You dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet of a woman who wanted to leverage sexuality against you. And you telling her that that's not going to work, let her know that she doesn't have, she's not going to have as much power as she thought she would have. So you got to let your girl know. Cut off sex for you? Fair game. It's your body. It's your life. But I'm not giving you a unilateral decision to cut off sex and sexuality and intimacy for me. I would never accept that dynamic. Giving someone that much power is insane. But men just hand it over like it's nothing. No, absolutely not. That is one of the main things that men get married for, is the exclusive sexual access. Then women feel so emboldened to just remove that and just man to just stay and stick it out. And so many men do. If you don't believe me, look up sexless marriages on TikTok. Look up sexless marriages on Reddit and just listen to the stories and read the stories and read the comments. It's sad how many men are going through this. It's literally just terrible.
They're just like, I'm just not having sex with you anymore.
It depends.
I mean,
on
you
how
should
much
break
love
up,
them.
like, or I don't know. What?
It depends how much you love that person. Because if you really love them so much, you will figure out the issue instead of getting a whole divorce. Like, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, a divorce is a big burden on someone's life.
Bro, listen. I'm not advocating for divorce, but here's the position women want to put men in. Figure out why I'm not giving it to you. Pander to me consistently, where you're just, okay, what can I do for you? Can I give you a massage? I buy you flowers. I'll cook dinner. I'll light candles. I'll make sure that you don't have to do any dishes. I'll deal with the kids. I'll take them up, pick them up from school, drop them off, make their lunches. That way you're stress free. And they're just constantly giving value to the woman in hopes that that woman will reciprocate and give them that thing that they want. And it's never enough. It's never going to get to that point where she's like, okay, you've done enough. You took enough off my plate. You've added enough value. I'm now attracted to you again. It's a black hole. It's a black hole trying to, I'm not saying you shouldn't ask your partner, like, hey, what's up? Definitely do that. But if they don't have a valid answer and also a specific answer as to why that is fixable. Okay, this is the issue. It's your hormones. Okay, let's go get that fixed. And now it's gone. There's no more issues. Okay, maybe the guy got out of shape. Maybe he got fat and sloppy. It definitely happens. He said, well, it's just hard to get turned on by you because you're fat. Okay, cool. That's fixable. Hit the gym for a couple of months. Lose the weight. If that thing that she says is the issue is not fixable, like very clearly fixable, because what women will do is they'll give you a very vague, this has never happened to me, but from what I read and from the videos I watch of men in these situations, the woman gives them a very vague answer as to what the issue is. It's not concrete. It can be interpreted in multiple ways. So you never know exactly what you're supposed to do you never know what you're exactly supposed to do to completely resolve the problem. So the guy's just doing a bunch of things, throwing a bunch of things at the wall, trying to see if this will be the thing that fixes it. And they just start pulling their hair out. I did everything. I lit the candles. I gave her a massage when she got home. I bought her flowers. I was more romantic. Took her out on more dates. Did date night. They, complimented her. Bought her things. And it just isn't happening. I don't want... And you let her know what it is. Hey, listen. Here's the situation. Here's what's happening. If you're not interested anymore, cool. But you're not going to hold me hostage. And a lot of women will try to shame men in saying, oh, is that all you care about? So all you want is sex. Never let a woman make your wants and desires. Never let them minimize it. Women do this all the time. Women's wants and desires, if she wants dates, if she wants affection, if she wants security, if she wants, validation. Oh, it's the utmost important thing in the world. And if they don't get it, he was neglecting her needs. And she's valid if she wants to leave and find someone who's going to give her what she wants. He wasn't giving her what she needed. She needed to find someone who was right for her. She's valid in leaving and finding a man who is willing to give her what she wants. But women will minimize what men want and say that he should focus on something else. This thing that you're saying you want isn't important. Value something else. It's like, no. If the man leaves because he isn't getting what he wants, oh, he was selfish. He was selfish. He was self-centered. That's all he cared about. He never cared about you. He never loved you because he left because she wasn't giving him sexual access. There's more to life than sex. That's all he cared about. These men are sex addicts. Homie was getting it once a year. Homie was not a sex addict. Homie was getting it once a month. But if that man removes something that she cares about, women will 1000% validate that as a reason to leave him, dump him, go find a man who will. If he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to, he would, is the sentiment when they're not getting what they think they deserve or what they asked for or what they agreed upon. But if more important things to worry about, nah, bro. No woman should never let a woman minimize your wants and desires. What you want in the relationship matters. And you better make sure she understands that. I'm not saying hope she understands that, assume she understands that. You need to make it very clear to her in no uncertain terms that the things that I desire, my wants and needs, they're not up for debate. This is not something that can be taken off the table and this relationship survives. These things matter to me. You're either going to provide them or you're not. And if you're not, we don't have a relationship. She needs to understand that. Guys never make that clear to the woman, and that's why they feel so comfortable in just removing sex off the table and expecting you to stay there. No.
Agree with that, actually.
Just because you haven't had sex, you should do everything that you can to figure out that issue first.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of doing a breakup or a divorce.
Sure. We have a super chat here from Lucas. Here's a twist to the hypothetical. What if the husband makes 7 figures per year? Wife is a stay-at-home mom with no job skills. They have 4 kids. Who takes the bullet? What would be in the best interest of the kids? By the way, hypothetical does not denote my position. If the husband makes 7 figures per year.
Bro, these is some wild hypotheticals. Man, you don't need these insane hypotheticals to value your life. You don't need to. Life is valuable. It just is. It just is. The same way the woman doesn't want to die, the way she feels that her life is valuable, why should you not feel that way? You should feel less valuable? That doesn't make any sense. It's strange to me. Extremely strange to me.
They have 4 kids. What would be in the best interest of the kids?
That's basically like let your wife die and you go and you survive. Your kids would know, but you're the main provider. That's the same point that you made earlier. Is it not?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I think my thoughts on this. He says if you have 4 kids, so what if the kids are all between the ages of like 7 and 12? So they're not like, they don't need to be like breastfed or anything. And like the moms, I think there's actually a pretty compelling argument in this case. Like, it's going to be better for the kids, for the husband to survive.
But the wife is a stay-at-home mom, so the money that the husband makes would go to her, and she is already staying with the kids more than he is. So you could argue that she would still have the resources that he had, and she would be providing that motherly role for them, and they would have the It's true. They would.
That's a bunch of BS, bro. Honorable. Bro, there's nothing honorable in dying for modern women, bro. They keep using the scenario of like your wife or your children. That's honorable, respectable. No man has to be convinced of that. But I'm talking about modern women. Perhaps this wasn't the best video to use. Like I said, I didn't watch this. I watched maybe like a few minutes of it. I didn't watch it in its entirety, so I didn't exactly know what direction they were going to go. Maybe next time I'll watch more of the video, because I've seen them have debates on this channel where they're talking about the man dying for regular like women that have nothing to do with you. They're not family members, they're not loved ones, they're not none of that. I thought that's the direction they were going based on like where he started the conversation, because he's had this argument multiple times. But I'll definitely I'll watch through another clip and I'll find a better video for that particular debate, because I want you guys to hear their arguments. But like, there is no honor in dying for the modern woman, bro. Like, they used to be. It would make sense, like, to die. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. I'm not even gonna go that far, bro. That's crazy. But a man could justify making that choice If a man were to ask himself right now, what makes an honorable woman? What traits and attributes, what lifestyles, choices, how does she dress? How does she act? What lifestyle does she live? What makes an honorable woman to you? And you were to ask the average man that and hear his answer, and then ask him, do most women meet that standard? The answer would be no. How do I know this? Because most men are leaning far more conservative and most women are leaning far more liberal. And we know the traits, attributes, and lifestyles that come from those two thought processes and two ways of, viewing the world. Thus, most women would not qualify under most men's standards as being honorable, respectable. And we know that. Women are more promiscuous now than ever, more disrespectful, less submissive, more out of shape, crass life. Like, honor. That's one aspect of it. That the honor has nothing to do with it. It's not honorable to die for modern women, bro. Like, you're just extinguishing your life some chick can go shake her butt on Instagram videos. Like, make some man-hating TikTok. And that was more valuable than my existence on planet Earth. Way too much. My life is worth more than some twerking chick who's shaking butt at the club. Like, nah. But on top of that, she mentioned that if the mother will get the resources from the guy who's died and she's already staying with the kids, and so she gets, she's there already nurturing the kids and she gets the guy's money. First of all, that is still not the best scenario because we have the data on that shows that single fathers make better parents. So if we're talking about the outcomes for the children, so yeah, you still lost on that one.
I see what you're saying. You're saying that because he's such a high earner, the collective, she's accrued enough money from his pre-existing income that's come in to survive.
Yeah.
But what's she going to do when that money runs out?
Right.
Exactly.
Because eventually it's going to run out.
She could also work if
But
work
she has
is
no
not-
job
skills. That's in the scenario.
She can gain working skills. Everyone can.
But is she going to be able to support her children just with no job skills right off the bat? I mean,
No, she would
entry level
have that
positions
money,
aren't
and
going to
then
provide
you would
for a
figure it
family.
out. You would be like, oh shit, my husband is dead. I have to build up some work skills. In the meantime, I have the money that he provided
But
me
who's
with
going to
from
watch
his
your
7
kids?
You know what? I think I've had enough of these chicks, I'm going to find a better video for this particular debate. This one was still good, interesting, but I'm going to find another video where we can have this conversation, bro, because it needs to be had. It needs to be had, and I don't think that, I don't think it's valid. I don't think it's a good idea for a man to value himself any less or view himself as expendable, or view it as his duty to sacrifice for women he doesn't know. Like, there's no honor in that. There's literally no honor in that. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to remember you. And you're not going to have this lasting respect that no, bro. You're valuable. Your life is valuable. You don't need to convince anybody of that. You're not expendable. Never let society or women or anybody make you feel that your life is worth any less. You're valuable. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I will be back tomorrow with another stream, another topic. It might be from this podcast, might be from something else. I have a couple things lined up, so stay tuned for that, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're watching it now, please, I'd appreciate you guys if you liked the video. If you're watching it later, I'd also appreciate if you liked the video. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I'd really appreciate your guys' help in reaching that goal. So, thanks. Like the video. Let me know in the comments section what you think about the topic. Also, go ahead and send. You guys can see my Instagram on my profile. If you have videos you want me to react to, or videos you want me to live stream and give my live reaction to, go ahead and send it to me on Instagram. You can also just send it to me in the messages in the video. I'll also look at all the messages and I read them. So I'll see if you post it there, but Instagram is like the quickest way. If you want to contact me directly, send me clips, videos, links, all that stuff. I'd really appreciate it, guys. And until next time. Take it easy.